Hi, I'm Dan. I run a training company called 4 and 20 Million with two colleagues. I'm also a husband and a father to two brilliant young children, and I like to get out on my bike and cycle whenever I get a spare moment. Like most people, I find that there's just not enough hours in the day to get everything done that I want to. So I've decided to do something about it. I can't make the day longer, but I can make it more productive. We do a lot of training on productivity, so I wanted to put all of the tips and skills that we preach to the test and have one super productive 12-hour day. And this is the story of that day. Could be better. Now don't get me wrong, I spend every day trying my best to be productive, but today called for something bolder. As well as filming and live tweeting my progress through the day, I really wanted to get on top of some meaty work tasks. I wanted to do some of those DIY jobs around the house that never get done, spend time with my kids, and on top of that, cycle 50 miles. So this called for a big, bold plan. So that's where I started. I made a plan for the day in advance using a technique called time boxing, where I split the day into manageable chunks and had a clear idea of what I'd do at each moment as the day went on, so I couldn't procrastinate or worry about what to do next. I also thought about what I'd need, so I had everything ready in advance to help me just start the day in a positive way, and that started with a commute into town on the bike. So with 6 miles of my 50 in the bank, I started my day. And I started with a task I wanted to do least to avoid procrastinating and putting it off. For me, that was redesigning our website. It needed doing, but it's not something I'm particularly strong at. There's a saying that if you know you have to eat a frog today, the best thing you can do is do it first thing in the morning so you don't worry about it and procrastinate all day. So in that vein, I ate the frog, started with the website and spent 90 minutes away from my emails, away from my phone, just focusing on getting this task done. And 90 minutes later, we had a new, shiny website. Good morning, it is just before 10:30. I've just finished updating our website, which I'm really happy to have got done first thing this morning. I've deliberately kept that to 90 minutes because research shows that after 90 minutes our cognitive abilities start to wane, we get fidgety, we get bored, we get impatient, and we make worse decisions. You know, when you've got something to do that's a big task, break it into 90-minute chunks and let yourself recharge a little bit in between those chunks so you can keep functioning at your highest level for as much of the day as possible. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to pedal home. I'll see you shortly. My second 90-minute chunk involves some overdue DIY jobs at home, including getting rid of these horrible ring marks out my kitchen surface. I'm really happy with this. I've now waxed this worktop, not a ring mark on it. I'm really pleased with how well that's turned out, better than I thought it would, to be honest. And again, this is just one of those jobs I've been meaning to do for ages, I never get around to. It's not actually taken all that long when it's come to it, but it's finding the time, planning the day in a way that these things happen. So that's two really productive 90-minute bursts of activity done today already. I had a quick check of my emails, checked in on admin, all of that stuff. So my next chunk is 60 minutes on the bike. And by the time I get that done, I'll be halfway through my 50 miles. It's going well. The worst possible things happened. Puncture. Which is really going to slow me down, but this is the kind of thing that happens on a normal working day, isn't it? Like, as soon as you call, you have to go and do something, you have to go to a meeting, the deadline changes, you have to replan your day. So my beautifully time box day is now going to have to be revised when I get back from this ride. That's frustrating, but it's the kind of thing that happens in real life, so I'll fix it, I'll finish the ride, I'll get home, and I'll re-time box the rest of my day to try and get as much as I can still in the time I've got. Oh, frustrating. I'm a lot more nervous about this gravel than I was before I got a puncture. Right, back home from the ride. That puncture ended up costing me about 25 minutes, I think. I'm still going to have the lunch break I was going to have because, as I said before, it's important to stop and recharge. I've then got a meeting with two of my colleagues. Like all good meetings, we've shared an agenda in advance, we've thought about the points that we want to discuss, so hopefully we can have a purposeful conversation. I can write up some quick notes and then I can get back on track. Hello, we're now 7.5 hours in to our day of productivity. It's going quite well, I think. The meeting that we had before was really swift and productive. I've then been out and done another 12.5 miles on the bike. So I'm now going into my last 90-minute chunk of time of the day. And I was going to spend the first 60 of these 90 minutes trying to finish this book, which I've been reading for a while and I've never got around to finishing. It might seem a bit indulgent to spend an hour reading on a day when you're trying to be really productive, but if we put off personal development and learning until a time where we're not busy or it's a bit easier, we know from experience it never happens. So we've got to make time, which is why I had an hour put aside for that. I say had because, unbelievably, second puncture of the day. I've never had 2 punctures in one day until today, sod's law. So it's now going to be probably half an hour of personal development reading and half an hour of fixing this puncture again. What can you do? Oh, tyre is inflated, hopefully for the last time. It's going to go back on the bike in a second. Surely I can't get 3 punctures in one day, so I think I'm done now with punctures. Perfect. Hello, it's just coming up to 6 o'clock. I've done a little bit of reading in my book and I made a start on this picture wall behind me. So this wall an hour ago was just a blank wall and I started to get some of our family pictures up there. Shortly my kids will be coming home from nursery, so 6 o'clock till 7 o'clock is tea time, bedtime routine, all of that. There's no point having a productive day and then not seeing your kids. In my book, that wouldn't be a good day. So the next hour is about them. Once it gets to 7 o'clock, I'm back on the bike, punctures permitting. So yeah, bit of kid time. See you later.
She walks and see, goes round hedgepodders, and see more. He walks all the way to hot air balloons.
Hi, it's 7 o'clock. One of my 2 children is asleep, which is a win. The other one's just having a bit of a bedtime story with mummy before bedtime, so that's all good. Normally, once the kids are in bed at this time, I just hit a big lull, the rush of getting them to bed. I just sit on the sofa and don't want to move, but the productivities of the day so far has really spurred me on. I feel motivated and feel energised that I can keep going and doing a bit more. Similarly, the idea of cycling 50 miles seems quite daunting at first, but the fact I've broken it up into these 5 little chunks makes it more achievable. And exactly the same is true of big tasks at work. Bigger and more daunting something is, the more likely we are to put it off and procrastinate. But just splitting it into smaller parts, what's the small thing I could do first, and getting that done. And suddenly, I'm 12 miles from doing 50 miles without really realising it. So, last ride on the bike, and then I'm in for the last hour of the day, which is going to be quite a tough challenge, but we'll talk about that later. See you shortly. Bye. Oh, it's a lot nicer than it was this morning. I've just stopped about half a mile from home to make 2 points on this video. The first is that I've been going out cycling today for a reason, that I want to cycle 50 miles in the day. But beside that, there's a bigger advantage to getting outside in nature, even if it's just for a 10-minute walk. And that's that it gives you time to think over the challenges and the problems that you're facing in your day-to-day, whether that's consciously thinking things through, just having a break from the desk in the office and the laptop and getting a fresh perspective, or just subconsciously and letting your subconscious deal with the tricky things that you're trying to wrestle with every day. I've been doing that for the last hour on this ride. I've been thinking about my next task, or last task of the day. I've committed to writing and publishing a blog about the day by 9 p.m, 12 hours after I started. By the time I get in, that'll give me about 40 minutes, I think. By only having 40 minutes to do what would normally be an hour to a 90-minute task, I've got no choice but to really focus on it. So that high intensity burst to end the day is going to make sure that I finish strong and get something published by 9 p.m. So let's see how it goes. So that's it, 12 really productive hours, and despite the punctures, I'm pretty pleased with what I managed to get done in a day. Certainly a lot better than my average day at home. There's more on our website, 4and20million.com, if you'd like to get in touch. But thanks for watching, I hope you found it really useful, and here's to more days of productivity. Cheers.